Hello everybody and welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott and how is everybody this evening? Well, it's a nice day today. It's only in the mid-90s. However, the humidity is down and makes it a little bit more bearable. When that humidity gets up around 80-90%, you just don't want to do a whole lot. But today and over the past couple days, I've been kind of musing about things. We hear talk, always a lot of talk about gear, always a lot of talk about what you should and shouldn't have, and it got me thinking that hang on a second. No, excuse me, that was my puppy doing something he wasn't supposed to do. But back when I was a teenager, back when I was a young man, and this is back in the 70s. We didn't have bushcrafting, and we didn't have a lot of consumerism we had today. There was no internet. If you wanted something, you went to your local store and you bought it, and that was your choice. It wasn't today where you had choices and choices and choices. And it was funny because the things that I bought and used, and yeah, there was mail order, but you had to go mail a letter to a company to request a catalog. Sometimes it would cost you $1 or $2. They would send you a catalog, and then you would order from it because there wasn't any internet. There was no such thing back then. But I want to go back to me being a teenager. Now, as a teenager, I spent a lot of time in the woods. Almost every free moment I had was spent in the woods. And, and this is pre-consumerism. And what I mean by that is we didn't have many companies vying for your dollar, and we didn't have all the advertising that we have today to buy certain things. And it's not, a lot of this stuff is buy it or you'll die sort of stuff. And really, in looking back to my younger years, a lot of that's just not true. And there's a hobby out there now, and it's called bushcrafting. And I was into it for a while, but really what I discovered was it had its elitarianism involved in it. In order to be a proper bushcrafter, you had to buy a particular knife in a particular way. It had to be custom made by this particular person. It had to cost X amount of dollars, and that made you a bushcrafter. And of course, by buying that one particular knife, it made you a better bushcrafter. It's the same thing with axes and hatchets and everything else. Growing up, I had a plum or an S-wing hatchet, and for some reason, I was never, at a want for anything else. But getting into that bushcrafter stuff, oh no, that is no longer any good. You now have to get this, Swedish made whatever, and that was the only thing that would work. And so I wanted to talk today a little bit about, some of this bushcrafter type movement, and I wanted to tie it into bug out bags or get home bags. And we all have gotten caught up with all the gear you need sort of thing. And I thought back for all the enjoyable moments I had in the woods. And I would go out, rain, snow, sun, cold, didn't matter. And most of my clothing was cotton. I'm still here. But I really thought about, what did I need when I was out in the woods? And really, I have been on several other threads talking about this in certain forums. And really, the most important thing that you can have for your bug out bag or your get home bag or your E&E bag, whatever you want to call it, the first thing that you need is knowledge. That's what you need. You need to fill your head with good knowledge that you can use. And, you know, we never, you know, when I made fires, you know, I never did the stuff that they said to do, but I had fires. I mean, obviously I did something right. But anyhow, getting back to the start, I'm kind of watching I have a 9-week-old puppy and an 8-year-old dog. And sometimes their ideas of fun are very different. Ask my old dog. But leave it. Hey, no. And my puppy is trying to eat the screen. But in going through all the stuff and the gear and the things you really need in your woods, really the first thing you need is knowledge. You need wisdom and you need experience. But in going through my list, I really, you know, based on my knowledge, maybe not based on yours, but based on my knowledge, there's really only about 4 items that are very difficult to replicate in the wild. And what I mean by that is you can create lots of things, your tools, cordage, cordage and other stuff. You can create that stuff, but it's hard. And so I came up with 4 things that are very hard to replicate and very easy to carry, which if you're going into the woods, I would recommend you carry. And I've got them here. I've pulled some stuff out of my get-home bag, and it's really kind of the meat and potatoes of my get-home bag, so to speak. But the 4 items, and I'll go by them one by one. These are the items that are very hard to replicate and that it would make your life a whole lot easier. These are the most bang for the buck items. So the first item I want to talk about is a cup, and I got one here. This is a Snow Peak titanium cup. I think I got it in a hey! Oh! Hang on. That was my puppy tipping over my little table. And just bear with me and I'll get life back together again. I was about ready to comment on how good he was. All right, you guys ready to go in? All right, we're back. Anyhow, I'm just losing everything today, so just bear with me. Anyhow, the cup is something that's very hard to replicate in the woods. Yeah, you can, make a bowl. I think they call them a kuska out of a burl. Of course, then you need a knife, or you need coals, or you need a scorp type or a curved knife blade to hollow it out, or you can do it with coals and take you a couple days. It's just really hard to replicate. Whereas if you carry a cup with you, like I said, this is a titanium cup. It weighs a couple ounces. Doesn't really take up a whole lot of space. In fact, you can put a lot of your other stuff inside this while you're carrying it if you don't really need this to drink out of at the time. So, I recommend carrying a cup. The next thing I recommend carrying is a knife. And When I was a teenager, going out in the woods all the time, every chance I got, hunting, fishing, hiking, just exploring, I carried a buck folding hunter. Never had a problem. The knife always performed like it was supposed to. I never needed all this high-tech stuff. I carried a knife. Now today, I do carry, this is a bench-made bug out. It's got a better steel, which I use them both about the same, so I don't really see that much of a difference. However, what I like about this knife is, yeah, it's one hand opening, but what I really like about it is it's not as bulky and it's lighter. And so it's thinner, it fits in my pocket instead of being in a pouch on my belt. But for all practical purposes, at least in my eyes, it's the same thing as that buck folding hunter. And as long as I have a knife, there's a lot of tasks I can do, and the knife is very hard to replicate in the woods. Now, a lot of people say, oh yeah, you can make a flint knife or whatever that. Well, I live in Georgia. There's no flint in Georgia. So, what do? But it's just so much easier. And even a pocket knife, it doesn't have to be a lock blade. Whatever knife you're comfortable with, but a cutting edge is something that is not easily replicated in the woods. Another item that I carry that is not easily replicated in the woods is cord. Yes, I know you can, make out of tree bark or roots or other things, you can make cordage, but that is a learned skill. It's a skill you have to practice, and it still takes a while to make enough cord. When I can take, right here, I have probably about 25 or 30 feet of parachute cord here. Mine are cut in 6-foot lengths because I can always tie them together to make them longer, but I very rarely need a piece of cord more than 6 foot. If I'm tying out a poncho or a piece of tarp or whatever, the smaller pieces do me better. That, and I can carry it like this, and they untangle really easy. So I always carry about 25 to 30 feet, and I can put it inside my cup, or I put it in a pocket, put it in my pocket if I have cargo pants. And then the last thing that I carry with me, or the fourth thing that I carry that is not easily replicated in the woods, is spark. Spark and or fire. And I will tell you, I know a lot of people consider, say, oh, you can do a crossbow fire and you can do this or plow or this, Again, I live in Georgia. It is very humid in Georgia. That means everything is kind of damp. And so it's not always easy to do a bow drill fire set and have it work. It can be done, but it takes a lot more practice and a lot more skill than I'm really willing to invest, considering how long and how hard it is to make it, when I can just carry something with me that'll probably last me for the whole time in the woods. Now, I do carry a couple different things, and I'll show them to you. This is a lighter. It's a piezoelectric lighter, and it really works. Let's see if I can. That will readily set a piece of paper on fire. It is battery powered. However, if you look on the side here, let's see if I can get that right about there. That's a micro USB port, and I can recharge that using the same stuff I use to recharge my phones in the field. Either a battery pack, I can plug it into a cigarette lighter, I can plug it into a wall. I have a solar panel battery pack. So I can keep this going for a long time, and it's got a pretty good battery in it anyhow. So I like to carry this. This is one of the things I carry. I do like it. because it is almost infinite supply. When you consider that I can recharge it from a lot of the things I carry with me, it's almost an infinite supply. But along with that, I do carry a Bic lighter. I do date mine. I got this one in January 2018. I replace these about every 5 years. I don't smoke, so I don't use them. And so I carry one of those. And I also carry these. These are military matches. They come out of an MRE, which used to be the C ration. It's the same matches. They are damp resistant. They're made for a tropical climate, and they work pretty good. And so I keep those with me. I also keep a little bit of tinder. These are, I think they're called Tinder Quicks or Tinder Lights. I just keep a couple stuffed in my bag. I'll show you the whole thing when I get done. My dog really helped me on this one. But really, if I can only carry one fire starting device, this is what I carry. This is a ferrocerium rod with a magnesium bar. And the important part is this. This is a carbide striker for the ferro rods. It's from firesteel.com. This thing, when using this with a ferro rod, produces probably about 5 to 10 times more spark than using the back of your knife or your knife blade. It costs about $1.25, $1.50, and so I keep them all together on a little piece of cord. And this is if I had one, if I was going to carry one fire starting device, this would be it. Because I can start the world with this. That magnesium, you scrape it into little chips, and then you use the ferrocerium rod to start it. And it's like a 1500 degree flame. Works really well. All right. So that's really the basis of my get home bag. On top of that, I do carry one space blanket. I carry one. These are little survival cards. There's a magnifying glass in here because you need it to read the survival cards. I got this years ago for a couple bucks. I just keep it in there because it does have some good information when you're in a survival situation. Your mind goes into fight or flight, and you lose some of your cognitive abilities. So it's nice to be able to sit down and maybe reread the rules and help you remember it, help you survive. And then the other thing I carry that's important is this is an encrypted flash drive, and I keep a lot of my data on here. It's password protected. If somebody attempts to break into this about 5 times and they use the wrong password, it wipes the whole drive clean. But I keep this with me in case I end up somewhere not home and I need identification, I need credit card, I need driver's license. I keep copies of it all in here. And that'll help me get by in the next place if life gets that bad. So that's pretty much my kit. I do keep everything except the lighter, the piezo lighter, the knife, the cup, and the rope. I keep in one of these little Pelican kits, and as you can see, there's plenty of room there for more stuff. I just don't put it in there. Also in my get home bag, I do carry a little bit of a first aid kit, but I don't consider that as important as these 4 items: start a fire, cut, rope, and a cup. With those, you have a much greater chance of surviving. Like I said, if you think you're going to make this stuff in the world, if you think you're going to start a fire using the crossbow technique, make sure you know how to do that first, because it is not easy. At least in my part of the woods, where it is damp most of the time, it's not easy to make those fires. And when I can carry a Bic that weighs a ½ ounce, or I can carry my ferrocerium rods with magnesium, it's an ounce. It's just easier to do. I'll have a fire going before I can even make a set out in the woods. But what's really important is you use this. This is what's important. You need to be able to use your mind to help you to use the tools you need. Because if you don't have it up here, it doesn't matter if your pack weighs 65 pounds and filled with all sorts of the latest, most expensive gadgets. If you don't have it up here to use it, it's no good to you. And I'm sincere about that. You got to have this. When you go through survival training, they don't teach you to have a whole lot of stuff. When I was in the Army, my aircrew survival kit was not much bigger than this. But you've got to be able to use what's up here. And getting the biggest, baddest, fanciest thing isn't always important either. Like I said, a lot of my time in the woods was with a buck foaling hunter. You can buy them in Walmart, I think, for under 30 bucks. It may even be cheaper than that. And it's a perfectly good knife. It's every bit as good today as it was when I was using it. I have one. I bought one recently for nostalgic purposes. I do carry it every now and again, but really, I like that light Benchmade. I like the weight. So that's all I got for you all. But think about this. Think about getting this in order first. And then you can make better decisions about all the other stuff you want to carry with you. So stay safe and stay secure, and we'll see you out there.